Hi, I'm Carrie. I'm here with Robert, who does the historical tours of Greater Holyoke. He does tours on the local canal systems, reservoirs, cemeteries, as well as various parks and streets in Holyoke, Chicopee, and South Hadley, Mass. You can find out more information on his tours and check out some of his videos and photos on his website at holyokecanaltours.org. And you can also find his upcoming schedule for 2023. You can also email him directly about tours or private tours. At his email, bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com. And you can always book private tours with him through there, too, as well. So we're going to talk today about the Jones Point Park of Holyoke. Now, who designed Jones Point Park?
The Olmsted brothers of Brookline, Massachusetts, designed the Jones Point Park of Holyoke, Massachusetts. And they started making their plans in 1908, and they changed them maybe 3 times along the way. The reason why the park was intended to be equivalent to a trolley park. Now, a real trolley park is owned by the trolley company. This was going to be a trolley park owned by the city of Holyoke. And they wanted to build a trolley out to it and right at the park. And they did build it. The trolley came, they built it, and then right at the edge of North Pleasant Street, there was 2 entrances from Pleasant Street and 2 entrances from Cleveland Street into the park. The 2 entrances from Pleasant Street are gone. In fact, there's a house in the way of both the entrances. So you cannot see what the real park looked like. But if you go into the park from Cleveland Street, you'll see that in the western edge of the park, it seems to be all forest. But that's not the way it was drawn up or made. It was made to be all clear trees, some bushes, but mostly a grass park. But when you go there, it looks to be half trees. Those trees have grown up since the park is finished. So in 1911, the park was finished by the Olmsted Brothers Designs, and they had a great parade, and they had a great fireworks display on the Connecticut River. Thousands of people showed up. Now, unfortunately, they made this park to be equivalent of a trolley park, but not many people came. They preferred to go to the real trolley park in Holyoke, which was the Mountain Park, instead of the Jones Point Park. So what happened is not enough people came, the park started going downhill. And the trees in the upper part, the western part, are 110 years old. They started growing because it wasn't being cared for. The lower part, which is the eastern part, was cared for. It became, through the time, a baseball field, a playground, a tennis court, so forth. And those are still there. The park is still taken care of in that section. In the northern section of the park, they built an overpass over the train tracks, and it went right to a giant rock. That rock is called High Rock. And even when the park was made and ready in 1911, it was a rock where you went to in order to dive into the Connecticut River, stay cool on a hot summer day. Still, a century later, people go out there for that reason. So it's a great place for that. It's just that the Western Park and the 2 entrances from Pleasant Street never really happened, and that is sad to see.
Okay, so now what has happened to the park over the last 100 years?
Okay, over the last 100 years, what it's changed into is more of a playground for children, so parents in the neighborhood could bring their kids there. And so instead of being a trolley park that they wanted, it became just a neighborhood park where a lot of children can go. It has a small little league or pee-wee baseball diamond, so that's good for it. You're not supposed to go to High Rock anymore because they say no trespassing. But people still go out there. It's kind of dangerous. One thing that has been renewed is that the tennis courts there are gorgeous. They were renewed 5 years ago, and they're absolutely gorgeous. If you love tennis on brand new courts, this is the greatest place to go. The whole reason the park came into existence was for other reasons, but it's changed along the way.
So, why could Jones Point Park be called a trolley park?
It could be only because of this reason. A true trolley park is a park owned by the trolley company. So in Holyoke, the trolley company was the Holyoke Street Railway. They operated from about 1886 to about 1938. They started up their own park, and that park was called Mountain Park and later Mountain Park Amusement Park. They also started up a house and a pavilion on the top of Mount Tom, and they renewed that twice because it burned down. And they were all connected. The trolley went up to the mountain park. There was a short stub railway up to the bottom of Mount Tom, and then two tramway trails went up to the top of Mount Tom. That's a true trolley park, owned by the trolley company, operated by them, and people would go out there in droves, by 100 per hour, 100 people per hour to go out there. Now, you could call other parks trolley parks, but they're weaker definitions. For instance, in Holyoke, what started out as Riverside Park became Springdale Park, and that was a bit of a trolley park because the trolley went by there, had to stop near it, and kept going, and a lot of people would go out there to enjoy the park and have the gymnasium area out there. But a stronger definition than that, but still not the absolute trolley park definition, is Jones Point Park, because it was actually started to be a last stop on a trolleyway. The trolleyway was built only out there for a reason, to end at the park. There was no trolley before the park was put down, and the trolley tracks were put out there on a reason to have people go out to that park. There were very few homes on Pleasant Street. And so you have a very close to the original definition of a trolley park, but not the absolute owned by the trolley company. It was owned by the city. Unfortunately, like I told you, Mountain Park succeeded to the highest degree, whereas Jones Point Park has a trolley park failed.
Now, what is the Highland Park neighborhood?
Okay, so what ended up growing up there more than Jones Point Park was the homes out there. The homes started growing up on the northern section of Pleasant Street. In fact, they had built a bridge over the dingle that's out there. Homes started coming in. Some came in quickly, like 3 of them, and then it stopped because the whole area was not succeeded. It stopped, and then it started growing up again. But a lot of the streets that the homes were on were the side streets. So if you go out there, you'll see very old homes from about 1910, and then you'll see a bunch of homes from the late 1930s, and then you see homes out in the 1950s and 60s. And so you can see that everything didn't succeed right away. It exists now, but it came in great stages. The most beautiful home out there is on the left on the northern part of Pleasant Street. And that was a home made by a carpenter who wanted to show off his house to people that would then hire him to build other homes out there. His name was Newton Kane, and he built a gorgeous house. And I think he only built one more house out there, and that was it. So along the way, other homes came in, and some are gorgeous. And as you walk along, you'll swear this is the best part of Highlands Park. Why is it called Highland Park? Well, there's a Highland section of Holyoke, but beyond it, to the north, on Pleasant Street, a new neighborhood developed, and they called it Highland Park because they wanted it to be new. So you have 2 Highlands in Holyoke, Highlands and Highland Park. And they're separated greatly in the amount of quality of the homes, the amount of homes, so forth. Thank you for this tour.
Thank you for talking with us again. You can again check out his website at holyokecanaltours.org, and you can also email him directly at bobcat4214, the capital B, at yahoo.com, and check out some of the other podcasts and videos and schedules on his tours. Thank you, and hopefully join us again.